We're back for our best show of the year. It has to either be our best show is either the NCAA preview or the NCAA recap, but it's 1A, 1B. Take your pick, but those are the two best shows of the year.
Yep, that's a big one. A lot of stuff going on. A lot of
And I'm
stuff. We got the seeds. We got the at-larges. Uh, Crystal ball coming up too. Are we making picks today, bud?
well, so
You gonna be full on everything?
last night the brackets came out and I'm a digital guy through and through, but I have to have a paper copy of brackets.
Every time.
My home printer was not working. My wife
Ooh,
used
brutal.
it last and did not let me know that we need ink. So I had to
Throwing your
go to
life
the
under the bus.
so I had to go to the office just to get brackets so that I could pick every single match.
Here's how I do it. Phase one: see the brackets, see the seeds. Phase two: bitch about them on social media. Phase three, which I have not arrived at yet, print them off and do the consies.
So I didn't do the consies. I only did the front side. I
Ooh,
know I know, but can I give you a little justification?
sure.
The brackets that NCAA gave last night did not have certain bout numbers on some of the weights. Like 125 does not have bout numbers in the top. And I wasn't going to try to do mental gymnastics to figure out where guys go. So I might do that later. Some of the weights had them. If you want to print brackets, I highly recommend what you do is pause this show right now, wherever you're listening. Go to pause it. Go to my Twitter. I just retweeted the link. It should be the top tweet, the PDF for the brackets, and print them off. And as we go through the show, you can make some notes. You got to go print them off. It's just something everybody needs to do.
I print them off. I print off a couple sets, fill them out, fill out the backside. They'll stay in my book bag at 4 to 6 months.
100%. The other
Since I've
funny
been looking through them on an airplane or something.
The other funny thing about this, Bashada hit the nail on the head yesterday. I went through and I pick every single match. And one of the reasons I honestly do that is because it's the only way to actually look at the matchups, like who might wrestle in round 2 and the quarters and what Penn State, Oklahoma State matchups might happen. You got to do it. And it's funny because you can go through and make every pick. You're never going to pick all the upsets. You're never going to pick all the chaos. You're going to pick all these favorites. You're going to pick, whether you're biased to one team. That's not us. We have no biases. So you're going to be wrong, but that's the joy of it all. The joy is the chaos that will happen.
Yeah, that's why people watch, right? That's why it's tough. Everybody, says, Willie, who's your pick? Who's your upset? Who's your dark horse? Who's your this? Like, bro, you watch wrestling. You know what the pick is, and you know what the potential for some guys are. So,
But I think there's also this is a really good year where we're going to go through every weight by weight, but this is a year where there did seem to be a lot of matchups where it's not necessarily you can make your argument. Like 125 I have in front of me, we'll talk about it in a few minutes, but like Figs and Vincent Robinson as a quarterfinal, I could see the argument for either guy there. Like there's a lot of matchups this year.
well, come on. And listen, when you get to quarterfinals and when you get to semifinals, I mean,
Yeah.
they're gonna be good. I see a lot of. I was reading the Hawkeye thread and they're like, "Oh man, so and so got a brutal draw." It's like, well, how does he get a brutal draw? Like,
I say the same thing. And you do it to me because I'm be like, wow. I said it this morning. I'm like, Figs has a tough path. And you're like, it's the NCAA tournament. Everybody does. And you're not wrong.
well, like there for one instance is, oh man, Drake got Anthony Noto round 2. It's like Anthony Noto. I mean, come on.
You know what would be
That's
fun
a,
for
that's a
wrestling?
guy. I mean, I'm not saying Anthony Noto's bad, but that's a guy you got to beat.
Shout out Anthony Noto, Section 5. Here's what a potential stat I'd love to see WrestleStat do.
His brother won the state title this year.
Did he?
Meant to
Here's
lock it.
here's something I would love to see WrestleStat do, which I think would be fun. Spit these seeds into a formula and give me strength or toughness of path. And I'd love to see a percentage of like the hardest to easiest path on paper.
Road. Yeah.
You know what I mean? That'd be pretty cool to see. Like we have like strength of schedule, like that, but for the NCAA tournament, like the strength of their bracket or the strength of their path based on the likelihood of all the different matches they could see.
I think before we get into it, before we get into weight by weight, I want to talk a little bit about Tyler Brennan, but also overall, every year the seeds come out, the brackets come out, and I start dissecting them on Twitter and raising a fit about certain things. I thought overall they were good. I don't understand the logic in some of them. Some of them I understand the logic and still disagree with.
Yeah.
But I get it. But I thought overall they were pretty good. I mean, did anything like punch you in the face like this is terrible?
No, there was a couple that I again, similarly, I understand their logic and I could disagree with it. There were a couple that I saw more so people like you that actually know seeding tweet about, like Garrett Thompson. But for the most part, those seem to be far and few between from getting things right. Like 184.
I actually think it's night and day better than it was 8 years ago, 10 years ago. There was some real egregious stuff going on. Not stuff going on. There was just utter nonsense. Now, I think the process is getting better. It's more, you can understand it better. I don't think there's anything that's like that's ridiculous. So I think it's better. With the Garrett Thompson thing, by the way, somebody said Willie hates small programs. Like I literally donate to Ohio. I literally donate to Ohio Wrestling. The problem is in that situation is 4, 5, 6, 7, which is Garrett Thompson. I'm going to get them out of order here, but Garrett Thompson, Danny Wask, Simon Ruiz, and Brevin Casella, okay? They all had early season good wins. I think they got a lot of miles out of CKLV. They knocked off a couple guys, and then they went back and didn't wrestle anybody. And when they did wrestle people, they lost. I mean, they lost to Nico Incontrera, who's the 16. They lost to no, he's a 22. They lost to Lorenzo Norman, who's the 16, who maybe got hosed. So and then you have Lenny Pinto, who's the 8, behind all those guys. I mean, literally the worst seeded Big Ten finalist. Him and Caleb Smith, who's the 9. I can see the rationale for Pinto at 8 because what they're looking at. But on one hand, if losses don't matter, they're obviously saying losses don't matter, because how can you have losses to 16 and 22? How can you have losses to 16 and 22 and be the 4? When Lorenzo Norman has the wins that those other guys have and is the 16. So you punished him for losses to Ogunsanya. You punished him for he lost another one late, ACCs. So you punished him, but the other guys didn't get punished for the losses. So that was the only real one that I was like, I don't get it.
Yeah. I've got a couple of team nuggets before we dive into the brackets. Number one is that Shout out Penn State, Cornell, UNI, and Ohio State were the teams that all qualified 10. And Ohio State really caught me off guard because they had a pretty bad Big Ten tournament. And then when I was going through the list and I saw they qualified all 10, I'm like, well, that makes sense. But I was not surprising that. I think you weren't either. I think I told you, and you're like, they did?
I was surprised. Yeah, I didn't really even realize. I think they got 9 in through the Big Ten tournament. I think they only needed one wild card, and they got it in Rogotsky. So, yeah, that's a little surprising.
And then the projected, and then Oklahoma State, Iowa, Nebraska, Minnesota. I think there were a number of schools that qualified 9. But UNI qualifying 10 and Iowa qualifying 9, Iowa State 8. I tweeted, it was probably the most engaged tweet of the week, was giving Schwab credit for that.
Iowa didn't get in Schriever. Minnesota didn't get in Drew Roberts. Nebraska didn't get in Harley Andrews.
Oklahoma State didn't get in Whitcraft. And then SDSU and Virginia Tech also said 9.
Yeah, good stuff late by SDSU. I mean, getting Cardinal in. Yeah. So, hey, this Tyler Brennan situation supposed to be ruled on today. It's really crazy because for 2 days there were nonstop phone calls amongst people, and I was wondering, like, if he is ruled ineligible, they're going to have to take his results out, recalculate everybody's RPI. I mean, that's the fair way to do it, right? But and that would even go back to who qualified and who didn't. But they said no, the tournament field is locked. If Tyler Brennan is out, they'll just remove him, put in Mike Wilson of Ryder, and everybody moves up one. Everybody below 28. So the 29 becomes a 28, and a couple guys move up.
Which is crazy because the Pac-12 runner-up should be the guy because the Pac-12 champ goes. And if you're going to rule the Pac-12 champ ineligible, the runner-up should absolutely go. But it sounds like they don't care about that.
Yeah, a lot of mixed feelings about this on message boards and Twitter and stuff. On one hand, it's like a lot of people are saying, which I don't agree with, oh, well, he wrestled the whole season and people got their COVID year and just let him wrestle, and this is terrible. I don't understand that. Rules are rules. You either have eligibility or you don't, and he does not, right? But and I guess I have, it's a tough pill to swallow, but I guess I understand the taking Ryder. But for all the bleeding hearts, and man, I became a fan of Tyler Brennan, getting to talk to him at Pac-12s. Tough kid, really tough kid. But for the defenders of Tyler Brennan, the flip side is he wrestled illegally and prevented Murphy Menke from making the tournament. Mm-hmm. Right? So there's two sides of that coin.
And his eligibility, in my mind, is not even a question because Josh Humphreys is the case you can look at. He wrestled 4 years. In 2021, the free year, he medical redshirted. And in 2024, he tried to get that medical redshirt year as his free year, and he didn't get it. They said, no, you cannot wrestle. So the precedent...
Literally, Lehigh's compliance department said, no, you cannot wrestle.
The exact same scenario. So it doesn't seem like this is a question of, can we, figure out a way to make him eligible? I think they're going to have a hard time based on the precedent that's been set.
Unless, and this goes for all sports, unless you competed in the free year, you cannot go into 5 postseasons. Can't do it.
And by the way, I honestly at this point really don't care either way. Like, I think you're going to piss a lot of people off if you let him wrestle. You're going to piss people off because they're going to say, even though he wrestled all year, you caught it. It should be the end of it. And you're going to have a lot of people that say, you know what? You didn't catch it by now. Just let him wrestle. So I think no matter what they do, they're going to piss people off.
I don't think you cannot. There's one thing is like, oh, this is there was some oversight. Like we didn't catch this. We did not catch that this guy was ineligible and he wrestled all year. That's sort of a black mark. But now that the world knows, and if you were enabling him to wrestle, that's worse. It's one thing to do things wrong and not know you're doing things wrong. It's an entirely other thing to know it's wrong and still allow it to happen.
What's the waiver that Little Rock's filing?
Oh, I think it's a YOLO brick. I think it's a Hail Mary. I don't think it has any leg to stand on. I mean, just think, who does he got? He's a 28. He gets the 29. What is he? Whatever. He gets the 2 or the 3 or the 4. He gets a 4. Imagine he goes there and beats the 4. You just left an ineligible wrestler.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine if you made the blood round and knocked somebody off of the blood. You let an ineligible wrestler do that.
Yep. Well, that decision should be out tonight, so hopefully there's a resolution soon.
Yeah. Okay, let's hit it.
By the way, one final team note.
By the way,
Penn State, based on projected seeds, Mr. John Kozak did the breakdown. PSU projected to win by 87 points. They're projected to score based on seeds, not picks or anything like that. Based on seeds, they're projected to score more than second and third place combined, and their previous margin of victory based on seeds was 53. It's now 87. Crazy.
87 points. Their projected margin of victory would have taken second last year.
It's crazy.
What
did Cornell have? 72, I think, last year? Because Penn State had won 72 or something like that.
Dude, last year was crazy. The team race was crazy, and it was Penn State, and everybody – I don't think anybody really had a good tournament other than Penn State. I mean, Cornell, I'm pretty sure, took second with 3 All-Americans maybe?
Cornell did take second.
I mean, how do you take second with 3 that never happens.
All right, Willie, you ready to do our thing?
I'm old enough to remember when Arizona State took like 5th or 6th with 3 All-Americans, and everybody lost their mind. There was one year where Arizona State took like 5th or 6th. They had Anthony Robles, Bubba Jenkins, and an 84 that AA'd, and the name's escaping me right now. They had two champs in an AA 87. And they took 5th or 6th, but in the regular season they went like 2-20 in duels, and everybody was up in arms. We need to change the scoring system at NCAAs because
voice alert.
It is not reflective of a true team power. Okay, last year Cornell took second with 3 AAs as well. They took second, not 5th, not 6th.
These are people that hold their nose when they jump in a pool, okay?
I like it.
All right,
let's go. 125, Luke Lillidahl is your top seed. Matt Ramos gets the 2. Some people speculated, would it be Ramos, would it be Lillidahl? But when I think, when it's a coin flip kind of, when there's debate and one guy just won.
Well, and part of the debate was the coaches' rankings came out and they put Ramos 1. And you and I, Bashada, were going back and forth all damn day about why I'm a noob and nobody understands this but you. And what you end up saying turned out to be true, which was the conference champion's going to get the one. And yet again, another year, the conference champion got the one at every weight.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, going into that conference champion thing, and this is going to be a tough pill to swallow for non-Big 10, non-Big 12 people. I really like that conference champs are rewarded. However, the conference champion being weighted so heavily, some of these smaller conferences got a boost because their formula spit out conference champ, and it bumped them up. Garrett Thompson, perfect example of that. That whole 74 scenario, they probably got a big boost. And so, I don't know. You can't write in a code that says Big Ten champs get 15% and EIWA champs get 10% of their formula.
I know. You did.
Yeah,
I mean, they did, I think, get AJ Ferrari right at the 3. They gave a little credit to Cardenas and Buchanan in the Big Ten tough schedule.
Yeah.
But then I don't think – we'll talk about 57 when we get there, but even Meyer Shapiro getting the 2 seed without a top 10 win, I could see people looking at that and saying, here's a guy who's 11-1 and has the 2 seed. Now, he took third last year. Like, I get it, but
you can't win. You can't win. You can debate it. You can debate it, but you also the seeding committee can't win because, and I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
Because here's one thing I could say.
Say it, Willie.
Remove Meyer Shapiro's name. Just put up his resume. Remove his name. You don't know whose this resume is. Just read off this year. Read off this year's wins and losses. Now tell me why that should be a 2 seed. You can't. Okay? So there's people like stomping their feet. Oh, that's terrible. He doesn't deserve the 2 seed based on his resume this year. Probably true. It's probably true. The same people like me say, use your brain. Use your brain. Kirkfleet, make sure Kirkfleet's on the other side.
Yeah.
Of let's have reality. I talked to a coach last night that was incensed. And no, it's not a Nebraska coach. It was actually an Iowa State coach. We were just talking about seeds for a while. And he's like, Andrew Lira's the 8. Give me a break. The guy lost 1 match in 2 seasons. He lost 1 match in 2 seasons, and he's the 8. That's terrible. Like, just use some common sense, right? So there is the common sense factor, and so you can't please everybody. You can't go strictly by the book and say Meyer Shapiro shouldn't be the 2, and then not you have to have some wiggle room, and I'm okay with Shapiro the 2.
All right, well, let's go back to 25. Sorry, I got us derailed there.
No, it's fun. It's fun questions, and seeds are different than rankings. I understood some people having Ramos the 1 in rankings. I could have maybe understood him being in seeds, but I'm also fine with Luke. Luke the 1, his path would be Weander, Marcelo Milani up top. Coming out probably. Oh man, that's stupid. There's going to be so many things I noticed for the first time in here. Sheldon Seymour is the 8 seed. It's a rematch of the EIWA Finals, round 1. I hate when that happens. Split them up.
Split them up.
I don't know how Seymour is the 8, by the way. He has no good wins. Zero good wins. 8 seed over Caleb Smith the 9. Which it doesn't matter because they're 8-9, but Caleb Smith, the Big Ten runner-up. So that would be Lilladal's path. He beat Smith a couple times this year. That's his path. Are you showing this on the screen?
No. I told him to print it off.
Print it off. Figs, Figs and Peterson, a potential second round match. Anthony McGowan and Brendan McCrone, good first round match. Joey Cruz, Vince Robinson, those winners will meet. I think it's a really interesting little quad there.
It
I think
is.
Mark Anthony McGowan, a big fan of Mark Anthony McGowan. I think he's flying a little under the radar, and he could go 1-2, or he could upset the apple cart and make the quarters. That's how I feel. I think there's a lot of intrigue there.
Yeah,
Uh,
that whole quad is intrigue. I think Figs Dean Peterson's a great match in the second round.
yeah. On the other side, Eddie Van Treska. This is an interesting quad too. Eddie Van Treska, Gylan Sims, who won the SoCon, but Cooper Flynn, Spencer Moore. Van Treska will get one of those guys, either his old teammate or a guy who's beaten him this year in Spencer Moore. Strickenberger got the 6. Great year by him. Spratley the 7 down there with Jordan and Poulin. Maximo Renteria, Jacob Moran will get Matt Ramos. Thoughts? Picks? What are you making picks already? I don't know if my brain can handle that right now.
I mean, I think we have to. I don't think we can go through the bracket and not make picks. I think, by the way, the picks almost don't matter because regardless of what we pick, there's going to be chaos. There's going to be upsets. You can't, but I do think it's fun. I have Luke and Figs making the semi up top and Van Treska Ramos making the semis in the bottom.
You have Luke and who? V-Rob?
Figs.
Or yeah. Yeah. And so you're taking Luke over Richie in that semi.
Yep.
And the other side you have who? Van Treska Ramos?
Yeah. And I think Ramos wins that.
So you have Luke Ramos. I don't know. Nothing's going to go to script here or at 33.
It doesn't matter. You make your picks anyways. That's what we do. That's what we're called upon for. Make
do.
your picks, you puss.
I got Ramos for sure, but give me Ramos over Strickenberger. I'll take Ramos over Strickenberger in that semi 2-6 matchup. Luke, give me Luke over.
I think Luke and Ramos run it back in the finals, and I think if it's Luke Ramos in the finals, and we just saw how dominant Luke was over Ramos.
He was, but you know, he doesn't get that big. He doesn't get that big play early, then that whole script gets flipped, I think.
Potentially, but if you major somebody a week ago.
Yeah, I know, but when you start the match down 7-0, you're going to try some different stuff you wouldn't.
I don't disagree. I'm not saying it's going to be a major again.
I don't know. I don't know who to take. Figs Lillidahl intrigues me. I don't know. I reserve the right to. I'm not making picks today. I'm not making picks.
All these
I'll
quarters,
ball.
all these quarters are great. I've got Luke and Caleb, Figs and Robinson, Van Treska and Jet, and then Troy and Ramos. This weight's going to be incredible to play out. Make your picks, you puss. You already said your crystal ball has Lillidahl. You're taking Lillidahl to win it. If you backtrack.
Okay, I'll take Lillidahl.
Thank you.
I'll take Lillidahl. Got Lillidahl. All right. Good.
Glad we established that.
One for Penn State. You're really happy. All right, 133, Lucas Burge, top seed, Drake Ayala in the 2.
Hey, real quick, sorry. What did you make? I saw some people whining about Nicolai Rivera being the 11th seed. Did you think he was about where he should be?
Some people. That was one Wisconsin fan that's nuts.
I saw multiple people saying it. I have no clue whether or not the 11 is where it should be. I was curious on your take.
Listen, Caleb Smith's a 9. Caleb Smith was runner-up. What do you think? What do you think Nikolar's going to be?
Yeah.
Nikolar was like 5th or 6th or something. The guy who took 2nd is 9. That's nonsense. That's much ado about nothing.
Okay. 133 pounds at the NCAA tournament.
Big Ten finalist Lucas Bird and Drake Ayala, the 1-2. Pac-12 finalists Nasir Bailey, Zeth Romney are the 3 and 4. I don't think there's any beef about that. Dom Serrano, the Big 12 champ, is the 5 seed. 6 seed is Connor McGonigal, the ACC champ, 15 and 1 on the year. So Lucas Bird's looking at a path of Van D or Ryan Miller in round 2. Braden Davis is the 8. The 9 is Braxton Brown. That's a really interesting pre-quarter. Regardless, I don't think anybody's going to pick Brown or Davis to beat Bird at this juncture. Tyler Knox, the 13, needed a wild card. I think that's a really interesting match. Second round with, well, first of all, Knox has Borman in round 1. Borman beat Nasir Bailey earlier in the year. But the winner gets Zeth Romney. Knox Romney in round 2 would be wild.
Is Knox the highest ranked or highest seeded wild card?
It's a good question. Well, Trumbull's a 7. Trumbull actually needed a wild card. Trumbull needed a wild card, got one, and got seeded higher than the ACC champ. So I really like that match. Knox Romney, round 2. Frost really took a tumble. He was ranked 4th in the country heading into the Big 12 championships. He was sick. He got murdered by Cade Moore, who has no real business murdering Evan Frost. So Frost falls to the 11 seed. He gets Tyler Wells round 1, and then in the next round, either Bergink or McGonigal.
Frost actually beat Wells last year 2-1 at NCAA's.
I'm going to come out with an article today. I'm going to do it today. What'd you say? Frost beat who?
Frost beat Wells last year at NCAA's 2-1.
Yeah, this is a different Evan Frost though. There's a lot of contests out there for the NCAA championships where it's like there's a point system, or there's a take a low seed, take a seed at each spot. You get 1-1, you get 1-2, yada yada yada. I would recommend taking Evan Frost.
I got to get in that pool. There's a couple of them.
As an 11, he has a really good shot to make the quarters against Nasir. Buzakis Oreen, round 1. That's a 7-26 match. Returning All-American Kai Oreen, the 26.
Wild. I feel like both of those guys are landmines and they get each other first round.
Yeah. Sean Spidell, Dylan Shawver, Anthony Noto, Julian Farber. Winner gets Drake Ayala. So Ayala against Farber or Noto. Yeah, I saw some Iowa fans again saying that Drake had a tough draw. I think he cruises. I don't know.
Spoiler alert, I think Drake wins the whole thing. So
I think Drake cruises to the semis. I think Bird cruises to the semis. I'll take Nasir Bailey and Evan Frost. These are quarters. These are quarters, sorry. Bird cruises to the quarters. Drake cruises to the quarters. I'll have Nasir and Frost in that quarter, and the other quarter, man, anything could happen there, right? Like
Yep.
you got Knox Romney as one candidate, and that other quad is just. I mean, you take Dom Serrano over Colton Camacho for sure, but then Rini Oakley, that's not an easy match for Serrano.
I got Oakley there. I got Oakley and Romney in that semi, and I got Seth Romney coming out against Bird.
I'll take Serrano coming out, but I don't think that's dicey. Um, man, Seth Romney is a big 33 pounder. I'll go Bird over Romney. I'll go Drake over Nasir,
That's what I got.
and then I'll go Drake.
That's exactly what I got. I got Bird over Romney and Drake over Bailey. I actually like Drake's path. Anthony Noto's obviously very tough. Buzaka Shaver we just saw at Big Tens as a Conti semi. It was 6-4 Shaver. I think Shaver wins it again, and Drake beat Shaver 8-2. And again, some of these results, I think when you see the match, it makes sense that it would happen again likely. I think Drake has some momentum going into the semis, takes out Bailey. And, no, I don't want to discredit what Bird did at Big Tens. But I do think Drake is. I mean, they split matches. Bird caught Drake and pinned him.
No, don't use that word.
Use what word?
He did not catch him.
No, not catch him like that. I'm saying caught him like pinned him. It's interchangeable. I'm not saying like he snuck it in there or it was a WWE pin with the ref turning the other way. But I'm just saying, Drake beat him in the duel 4-2. Bird pinned him in Big Tens. I'm going Drake for the rubber match.
I am too. But Bird can certainly, obviously, Bird can win. I don't know.
There's good, like you said earlier. There's going to be chaos. There's going to be chaos at this weight. There's going to be chaos at 25. I mean, we're such simps that we got the top 4 in the semis. That's not going to happen.
You know what? Earlier I said chaos is going to happen at 33, but the way the brackets came out,
seeded pretty good.
The way the brackets come out, I don't see a whole heck of a lot. I mean, who's going to knock off Nasir? Who's going to knock off McGonigal early? Oh, well, I got Frost actually. I don't think it's going to be. It's not going to be as much chaos as I initially thought. 33 has been sort of a lot of parity. But the way the brackets came out, I think there'll be less chaos than I anticipated.
There's less anticipated chaos, but it's NCAA's. There will be chaos. That's unpredictable.
Yeah. 141, Brock Hardy got the one. I know some people don't like that. I get it. I think that's the right move. Bo Bartlett the 2, Jesse Mendez the 3. All Big Ten guys, top 3 guys. Josh Coderhant got the 4. Cale Happel got the 5. I really like Cale Happel's path. I think he should be able to beat Pacino and then Chappell or Latona to make the quarters against Coderhant. I mean, Coderhant's really good. But before Cliff Keen, before CKLV, I tweeted, watch Coderhant. Coderhant's going to turn some heads. Nobody's talking about Coderhant. And he had a couple good wins there. Has an excellent season. Number 4 at NCAAs. So really good season. That being said, I'm no disrespect to Josh Coderhant. If there's a path to make the semis, this is probably the best path that Cale Happel could have asked for. Right? Do you want to go through Josh Coderhant or Bo Bartlett or Tegan Jameson or Vance Vombauer even or Jesse Mendez, right? Or Andrew Alirez. Brock Hardy's the 1 seed. He has to go through Andrew Alirez. Cale Happel the 5. He has to go through Josh Coderhant.
Yeah, this weight's crazy.
So Hardy's path. He'll probably get Pac-12 champ Singleton in round 2, then either Wyatt Henson or Shannon Hanna. In the next quad, Andrew Alirez has AJ Rallo, Jason Miranda, and Jacob Frost. I'll take Jacob Frost there. Alirez over Frost. And then Hardy Alirez. I'll go chalk at the next group 2. I'll take Happel and Coderhant, and I'll take Happel. Tagging Jameson the 7. He'll get Edmond or Composto in round 2. Bo Bartlett should have zero problem coming out and meeting Jameson in that quarter. Give me Bo Bartlett. I have gone all chalk through 3 of the 4. Mendez will get Lemley or Schwartz round 2. Von Bauer has a really nice matchup in a 6-11 match with Dylan Cedeno, who's quietly had a really good year. ACC champ, beat Latona in those ACC finals. He's 14-1 on the year. Shout out Bergen Catholic. So that's a really nice match. Von Bauer, Cedeno. I'll go Von Bauer, and then Von Bauer, Mendez, and I went complete chalk. Top 8 seeds all coming out.
Isn't that crazy? I got the same thing too, and I'm like, I'm such a simp, just picking all the. As I'm going through, I'm not even looking through seeds. I'm just kind of going through it, seeing the matchup, taking the name that I like, and I get there. I'm like, it's crazy.
I don't see. To me, there's not even decisions. I think this is easy pickings.
By the way, the Tegan Bo Bartlett match will be the first Penn State Oklahoma State match in the DT era. It'll be the first of 5 potential Penn State Oklahoma State matchups on the front side.
Yeah, you were mentioning there was a good pull by you, Levi, who's like DT's golden child.
Yeah, that one when we get there, I was going to talk about there. But you have Levi Haynes, David Taylor's very first initial protege at M2, like his guy, versus Dean Hamity, who is arguably David's best shot at an NCAA champion this year as a potential semi.
Yeah, so you're trying to get your first champ, and you have to go through the returning national champ and your protege to get it done. That's a predicament. A lot of people, including one Adam Felter's Facts, are saying Alirez next topic. Sorry, not to win the whole thing. Over Brock Hardy. I'm picking Hardy.
I'm picking Alirez. I don't think it's next topic, but I am picking Alirez.
And I'm not surprised at all if Alirez wins that match. A month ago, I probably would have said, 2 weeks ago, I would have said, yeah, Andrew Alirez. And part of this is that Brock went through the Big Ten tournament. He wrestled CKLV. He wrestled the Big Ten dual meet season. He wrestled Mendez. He wrestled Bartlett. He wrestled Happel. I mean, he's wrestled the 2, 3, and 5 seeds and 4. He beat the 4 twice. I mean, Josh Coderhant's 23-3, and 2 of those losses are to Hardy. So I think Brock's battle tested. He's had a lot of different feels. Bo Bartlett's a different feel than Jesse Mendez is. Vance Von Bauer is a way different feel than most people. And Alirez, he hasn't had the reps. He hasn't had the reps this year. So I'm going Hardy. I mean, maybe I'm making too much. Maybe I'm making too much out of an Andrew Alirez loss to Tegan Jameson in overtime. But And Jameson has a win over Hardy, so maybe I'm making too much of it. But
I really think it could go either way. I mean, I understand what you're saying, and I kind of am picking against myself to a degree because I agree with everything you said about Hardy. At the same time, Alirez, while he did wrestle a late schedule, the Big 12s was his first tournament all year, which is
right.
kind of crazy that he did not wrestle a tournament from when he won NCAAs in 2023
Oh my
to
God,
Big 12s last.
it's his first tournament in 2 seasons.
It's crazy. So I think that, Big 12s, he wrestled 5 matches in 2 days. This is going to
Yeah.
be a potential Friday morning match. Hardy Alirez. I think Alirez gets it done. I think Alirez makes it all the way to the finals. I think Alirez beats Hardy and then beats the winner of Happel
If, if
Coderhant.
if you pick Andrew Alirez as your national champ, I got no qualms about it. And you're right that maybe Alirez wrestling 5 matches sets him up great. It really prepares him for this tournament. Maybe that's a good point. Um,
If you look at
but
like Ja'Cory Teamer, we said going into Big Tens, like the concern was where's Ja'Cory's gas tank? Where's his ability to wrestle through a whole day? Alirez, I didn't really think about it in the same context to a degree because he wrestled more matches during the year. But still, for his first tournament and his only loss to be to Tegan Jameson in sudden victory, I'm still impressed that he did that after not wrestling a tournament in 2 years. Folk style tournament. I think he wrestled a couple freestyle.
yeah, well, it's a good point too that it's a morning match, correct?
Yeah, it's Friday morning.
Yeah. Alirez hasn't had very many off the scale big matches. I don't
So
know. That's another reason. Kind of lean Hardy.
I don't think there's a wrong pick between Hardy and Alirez. I really don't at this point. After Alirez being a national champ and only having 1 loss in the last 2 years, you got Hardy who just had an awesome Big Ten performance. There's not a wrong pick between those two.
Yeah.
So I got Alirez over Coderhant. I think Coderhant beats Happel, and I got Alirez in the finals up top.
Okay. Alirez over Coderhant, and in the bottom side, you're taking Bartlett over Mendez, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Correct. And then in the finals, you have Bo Bartlett beating anybody.
I've got the winner of the bottom side of this bracket winning. Bartlett is my pick because here's a guy who the last 2 matches he takes out Mendez, does it in a good fashion. It wasn't like some of their matches where it's like the Mendez beat Bartlett last year in that last second, the doop-de-doo with the Granby. These were solid wins. I really think Bo looked great. What did he do? He beat him 4-2, and then he beat him 4-2 again. So I'm going Bo here, but Mendez I think is right there. I think Mendez can win, but I do think the winner of that Mendez Bo semi ends up winning in the finals, which I was wrong about for Big Tens, but
I'm gonna take Mendez. I'm gonna take Mendez all the way. I'm gonna take Mendez as my champ.
I can very well see that. I think he's a returning national champ, and he's proven he can beat the best guys in the weight. I think he could absolutely win.
It's tough though because obviously Bo has beaten him a couple times, and Penn State's winning percentage in the semis is phenomenal. I don't know.
Penn State's honestly, it's not even a bias thing. Penn State shows up in this tournament. Cal has won 11 out of the last 13 NCAA titles. Big Ten titles, he's only won 8. He's won 3 more NCAA titles than he has Big Ten titles in the last 13 years.
Yeah, and I mean
they step it up for this tournament.
To me, it's the winning percentage in the semis. It's just really tough to vote against, but I'm going to do it here. I'm going to take Mendez, and I'll take Mendez whether it's Hardy or Alirez. And I don't know. I'm sort of discounting Happel, I guess, who has beaten Hardy, who has won a bracket with Alirez. But I just think the finalist will be the Hardy Alirez winner, and but I'll take Mendez out of the bottom side. Jesse Mendez, national champ. Book it. Sorry.
Congrats, Jesse.
The other 32 competitors. 149, Caleb Henson, your top seed. Ridge Lovett, the 2. Shane Van Ness, the 3. Panero Johnson, the 4. Kyle Parko, the 5. So the Big Ten guys go 2, 3, and 5. Panero, a surprise for some at 4. He only really wrestled half the season at 149. Do you think Panero was high?
I'm trying to think if I had any other questions to ask you about Bo Bartlett taking Jamison, not to go back to 41. But I am really hung up on that. Penn State versus Oklahoma State, first match into the DT era. I do think there's going to be some lights on that one. There's going to be eyeballs in every quarterfinal, obviously, but the first time DT versus Cal will coach against each other.
I mean, could Jamison? Yeah, I mean, to me, the pick's Bo.
I think the pick is Bo too. But I do think it's definitely a matchup that has a lot of intrigue with David versus Cal, first time coaching against each other.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, back to 49. Panero, did I think he was what?
Too high. I mean, he wasn't ranked that high. He wasn't ranked 4th. He didn't wrestle half the season at the weight. Do you think he should have got you think 4's high? I mean, he's ahead of Parko. He's ahead of.
Not based on the fact that they gave a lot of weight to conference championships and he won Big 12s. So if you told me that all the 1 seeds were conference champions and Panero got the 4 as a conference champion, then I understand based on everything else.
Yeah, one of the seeds stuff here that
Panero's lost. We talked about this last week, or on one of the million shows we've done in the last week. Panero's only loss down at 49. He only has 1 loss. It's to Real Buto. That's it. His other losses that he took earlier in the season to Caleb Fish and Patty Gallagher were up at 57. So
I know, but his best win is Real Buto, is it not?
It is.
Okay, so his best win is 10, and he gets the 4.
That's a lot of weight to winning conference championships.
But there are, the options behind him weren't incredible. 4 or 5 really don't matter. 6, Lackland has losses to Ethan Styles and stuff. I thought Ethan Styles was underseeded at the 12. He has some big wins. I mean, he's the 12 seed. He beat the 6. He beat the 8. I don't know. But start at the top. Caleb Henson, returning national champ. He'll go Teague Travis or Winton Dinkins second round match. Jaden Abbas, Trey McDaniel, Cross Wazlewski, Mason Schrader. I don't know. It's a pretty fortuitous road for Jaden Abbas, all things considered, as a 17 seed. I do like Cross Wazlewski, though. Freshman. Malik Hines, Jordan Williams, the Pac-12 champ. I like the way Jordan Williams is wrestling right now. He's always been super crafty, very rubber knee, hard to finish on. But I think also the grit and toughness is there right now. I feel like whatever the training environment is, he has the gas tank. I mean, remember, Jordan Williams was often a guy that kind of faded late in matches and always had a penchant for getting stall calls against him late. But I'll take him out. I'll take him all the way out to Henson in the quarters. Parko, Gilcher, McDougal, Styles. That's a really weird match considering McDougal don't do much and Styles doesn't stop shooting. D'Amelio against Biskins, a 13-20. Joffrey, Panero Johnson. You wouldn't have a difficult time telling me that Dylan D'Amelio's in the quarterfinals. Well, I could see that happening. Could you see D'Amelio beating Panero Johnson?
I got Panero coming out of this. This is one that I have blanked. The only match in all my brackets I have blank is Parco Panero. I think Parco and Panero both make it to the quarters, and I don't know how that match goes.
I'm having a hard time not taking D'Amelio.
They wrestled back in 2023, and it was an overtime win for Parco 7-5. Obviously, a lot has changed since the last 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a tough one for me. D'Amelio Panero Johnson's a tough one for me. In the third quad, Shane Van Ness, Willishell, Clark, Lamer, Alvarez, the 11 MAC champ against Gavin Drexel, Caden Cassidy against Lachlan McNeil. That's pretty damn easy for me. You take SVN and Lachlan out to the quarters. Cannon Webster, the 7, Cal Miller. Probably looking at Webster, Real Buto, round 2. Ty Whalen, Ethan Fernandez, an all Ivy League matchup. Sam Cartella, Ridge Lovett. I think it's pretty simple. You'd probably take in Ridge against the winner of Webster and Real Buto. I would take Webster at this point. Give me Ridge and Shane Van Ness in that semi. I'll take Ridge.
Shocker.
Wow, I mean, he just won a bracket he was in and beat him head to head. Who you taking, Van Ness for president?
I got Ridge to win this whole thing. I think if Ridge, I mean, I'm so torn because the 1-0 match is a little bit like after that 14-2 semi win over Parco. I'm like, Ridge Lovett for president, Ridge Lovett NCAA champ. And it's like, okay, so Ridge does this where can he string these together? He majored Van Ness, he majored Parco. Then he has a 1-0 match to win the title. It's like, but based on what I'm seeing from Ridge Lovett over the past couple of months, I think Henson can win this weight. I think Shane Van Ness can absolutely win this weight. Based on how everybody's wrestling in the past month or so, I'm going to take Ridge to win the whole thing.
Again, though, Penn State's batting average in the semis.
I know.
Penn State's batting average in the semis. I'll take Ridge, but I think Van Ness can do it.
I definitely think it's much closer than the last time. And if Shane Van Ness wins this semi, I'm the least surprised person on planet Earth.
I'm going to take Henson over Lovett in the finals.
Boo! Pick your guy. Cornhusker Willie.
There's no.
Listen, I get it. Henson beat Lovett 6-3 in overtime at the Cliff Keen. Henson is a safe pick. I get it. I'm breaking your balls because you're Husker Willie, but I mean Henson beat Lovett the last time they wrestled.
Here's the thing, and I text Ridge after he won over Parco, and I said, it's nice to see you let it fly. You have all the tools, let it fly, mix it up, and see what happens, and that's a great result. And he was like, and I also said, those shoes were fire. And he responded, thanks, Willie. Manning did not like the shoes at first. So I'm thinking, all right, he let it fly. Finally, we see Ridge open up. All his other matches against Parco have been patty cake fests and trying to do this strategery. And all right, now Ridge is letting it fly. And then he goes out and wins 2-0. Like, I don't know. So I think that if he goes out and tries to win a strategic one exchange match against Henson, I don't like those odds. Um, so in that sort of match, give me Henson. I don't know.
You talked me into changing my mind. I'm going Henson. You talked me into it. I think you're right. I think this is Big Ten bias to not pick Henson. Henson won it last year. He's undefeated. This year, he's got the overtime win over Lovett. He wrestles. Henson's great, but his only top 10 wins this year are both overtime wins. He beat Lovett 6-3 in overtime at Cliff Keen, and he beat McNeil 4-1 in overtime at the ACC Championships. Those are his only 2 top 10 matchups all year.
Yeah.
So
No,
that's where it's like
Cliff Keen was banged up a little bit and missed some stuff, but I don't know. Listen, can Ridge win it? Yep. Can Van Ness? Probably. And so if either one of them do it, okay. But I'm taking Henson as of now.
yeah, I'm in on Henson.
157. Tyler Kasich, your top seed. Meyer Shapiro, the 2. Antrell Taylor, the 3. Hippolito, the 4. Brandon Ken. What if I told you at the beginning of the year that the 3, 4, 5 seeds were Antrell Taylor, Raphael Hippolito, and Brandon Ken? What would you say? You would have shot me.
Probably.
And who's a 6? Ryder Downey's a 6. Interesting seeding scenario here. We talked about Meyer. Obviously the pedigree, but the season he didn't have a great one. Not a bad one. He just didn't wrestle anybody. 11-1 on the year. Best win is not significant. But he's your 2. Antrell Taylor took 4th at Big Ten, still gets the 3 seed. And I think that's right. 22-4. His last loss was against Blaze, who he already had 2 wins over. Hippolito 17-3. Brandon Cannon the 5, and I think I told you, not on the show, but just in the chat, like, I did not agree with the rankers. The rankers, being Flo and Intermat, both had Cannon ranked ahead of Taylor. I didn't like it. Because why? Because he had a win over Tyler Askey? But the seeding formula came out and confirmed what the brain thought. Taylor the 3, Cannon the 5. Joey Blaze the 8. That seems a little low, don't it?
My eyes when I saw this bracket went right to Teamer. Right to Teamer at 18 with the Shapiro who finished 3rd last year, Teamer who finished 2nd last year. They were the 2nd and 3rd place winners at NCAA's last year, and they're meeting in round 2. And Thursday night, one of those 2 will go into the Conci bracket. That's where my eyes went to it this week.
It's pretty funny that, you say, or I say, or anybody discussing seeds says, Meyer, not a great resume this year, but use your brain. He should be the 2. Okay. Ja'Cory Teamer, not a great season this season. Not a great resume this season, but use your brain. 18. So, on paper, Ja'Cory Teamer's name does not say 18, but season data does. 8-4. Injury problem.
I saw some tweets that said the most expensive 18 seed of all time.
Yeah, but who knows? Listen, who knows what you get? Would your mind be blown if Teamer beat Shapiro? Would it break your brain?
It wouldn't break my brain, but I'm like 80-20 on confidence with Shapiro getting the win there. But it would not break my brain, no.
It wouldn't break mine either. Meyer hasn't been tested this year.
No, and they have 24 matches combined between the two of them. They only have 24 matches on the season.
Yeah, and Jacory for one match. Jacory wrestles Johnny Lovett. Come out. Can you beat Meyer Shapiro? I mean, they were at a tournament last year. Teamer placed higher. Teamer's that dude. Teamer's really tough. If he's healthy for 7 minutes, I mean, that's crazy.
And here's the kicker for Iowa fans to pay attention to. So I haven't filled out the Consi brackets yet, but I've looked at some of the weights. So if Teamer loses to Shapiro here, in the next round, he'll have the loser of whoever the losers of Kasich and Chittum's matches. Those losers wrestle in the first one, and they wrestle Teamer. But in the next round, Teamer would wrestle he will wrestle the loser of Zerbin, Ethan Miller, most likely. You could have Ethan Miller, Jacory Teamer, where we've seen that now a couple times. Like, man, Jacory's going to have his hands full to get to AA status this year. He just lost to Ethan Miller in overtime at Big Tens, and that could very well be I don't even know what round. It's the third round of the Consies.
I did not.
Very early.
I did not. I mean, we see body language and recency, and Jacory's been beatable. I see a very possible path for Jacory Teamer to make the finals. I would not be shocked if Teamer beat Shapiro.
I don't know. I think that's crazy to think that. What have we seen all year that makes you think he's going to wrestle 5 matches in a couple days and perform his best? We have not seen it this year.
I know.
He lost 2 overtime matches, wrestling 5 matches at Big Tens last weekend. Jacory has the talent, the skill, all that to be he was a finalist last year, but
because here's the thing, a big part of it is, can Jacory Teamer beat Meyer Shapiro? I think the answer to that is yes.
Can he beat him? Yes.
In a one-match basis, can he do it? If he does it, the rest of that side of the bracket is not particularly great. You telling me, he can't beat Vinny Zerbin or Ethan Miller?
Well, he just lost to Ethan Miller 2-1 in overtime. You're going to have
to a 6-year senior who was in the Consies at Big Tens. What do you think his ambition rate was?
Listen, you got a path for him to AA. To make the finals. I'm not sure he AAs. Here's a guy who I think he's going to lose to Shapiro in the second round. You want to talk about? Hold on. Listen, here's a guy who once he loses to Shapiro, if he does, you talk about his motivation in the Consies at Big Tens. What's it going to be at NCAAs?
We're not talking about AA. We're not talking about AAing. We're talking about front side.
I understand, but I'm talking about
when I do crystal ball. When I get to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 blood round, a big factor is how tough do I think these kids are, and how motivated do I think these kids are. And I shouldn't say toughness, motivation. And I just don't think some seniors say, this is my last ride. I'm going out in a blaze of glory, and I'm going to hit that podium one last time. Some of them are like, it's been a good ride. I'm beat. I'm exhausted. I need rest. I think that could be the case for Jacory. On the backside, if he loses. Front side, I think he's going to be a horse and a real problem. And so match by match basis, I can see. Now, if Jacory If Jacory loses to Meyer, I'm with you. He'll go 3-2. That would
Yeah,
be something like that. But
I understand the match by match for Jacory, but the thing is you got to string them all together, and it's a long 3 days of wrestling.
I agree, but I don't think there's a whole heck of a lot of, frankly, talent. Jacory's much better than most of that side of the bracket. Like,
But
much better.
At 100%, Jacory is much better. At whatever percentage he's at, which we don't know, he's not that much better.
No, I know. I get it. So,
and that's why I think for Jacory, I think the reason we're seeing the performance out of him largely is due to his injury and health status. So I think if he drops that second match to Shapiro, I don't think he's going to have a hell of a lot of motivation on the backside.
100%. I'm not even discussing the backside. Like, if Jacory loses to Meyer, I don't have optimism. I think he's going to have a quick exit. But if he beats him, and I think he can, it's a different story.
Yeah, no, I agree.
That's the right side of the bracket. I think Taylor is interesting, but I also think he wrestles a lot of close matches. I think Taylor could make the semis. I also think he could lose second round to Swisher or Seabrook.
I was just going to say that, and I thought you were going to tell me I was crazy.
No. I'll take Antrell, but
this weight has a lot of that. Even because I was looking at
Toby Seabrook, a tough Jude Swisher.
Look at the match below that, because I thought the same thing there. I have Downey beating Scott, but if you tell me Ed Scott gets it together and beats Ryder Downey, I wouldn't be surprised.
I'll tell you what, Matty Bianchi is a tough SOB. That's a good match. Bianchi, Scott, that whole group. I don't know who's going to come out of that. I mean, I will pick Antrell and Downey to come out of it, but that whole quad has chaos written all over it.
Yep. I agree.
Down in the 4-5 quad, Brandon Cannon, CJ Hamblin. CJ Hamblin's tough. You want to see, that's going to be first round. Cannon, Hamblin, those dudes are going to, that's going to be two dudes just scrambling around. That's going to be high energy. Logan Rosinski, Caleb Fish. I'm telling you right now, Logan Rosinski is a tough SOB. True freshman for Lehigh. Jared Hill, Trevor Chumbley, Harrington Hippolito. Man, who are you taking out of this quad? Are you going to take?
Here's a couple interesting things I had. First of all, Kasich Chittum could be fun, second round. Kasich Chittum could be very fun, second round. Also, I have a note here that, again, I think the Penn State versus Oklahoma State is very interesting storyline to watch in NCAAs, and this is another case where I don't think Caleb Fish makes it to the semis. I don't. I've got Cannon and Hippolito in the quarters, and I got Hippolito winning that quarter. But if somehow Caleb Fish goes on a run, we could see Kasich and Fish in the semis, but I got Kasich and Hippolito here.
You're just rooting for Cal DT matchups all day, aren't you?
No, I want to see him. I don't think that's going to happen at this weight. I think there's.
It's not.
I think there's four that are very likely going to happen, and this is a fifth could.
Dude, Fish Hippolito in the duel was everything. It was so fire.
Yeah, it was great.
It was one of my favorite matches of the year.
But can Caleb beat Cannon?
I don't know. There's very limited data on Cannon.
I know his losses
I mean,
this year
he
were.
looks great. I mean, I think that I'm taking him to make the semi.
Really?
Dude, I could look really stupid. I mean, I'm telling you what, CJ Hamlin is freaking good.
We're gonna look stupid no matter what we pick. That don't matter.
The 5'4" quad is bonkers, as is the 3'6".
I should actually root to see
Is this
Hippolito.
is this weight outside of Kasich winning the top quad? Is this the most chaotic setup? I think it is.
Yeah.
I think anything can happen at this way other than the first quad.
I mean, that for the people who didn't watch it, that Hippolito Caleb Fish match at the duel was a 35-point matchup. 35. So, yeah. I mean, Hippolito won it 20 to 15.
Just kept throwing each other on their backs.
Yeah, it was an absolute thriller. I should root for Caleb to beat Cannon so we could see a rematch of that, because that would be a fun quarter. But with how Brandon Cannon's wrestling, I think it's going to be a fun. I think it's Hippolito and Cannon there. And I'm taking Hippolito into the semi.
Yeah, give me Hippolito too. I don't know. That's a really weird match.
It is.
Because Cannon comes like a bat out of hell, and Hippolito wrestles kind of like, he has that judo MMA kind of deal. I mean, not MMA, judo jiu-jitsu.
Yep.
Where he's like, all right, come here, you do something, and then I'll react. Well, Cannon's going to do a whole lot of doing something. And, yeah, so that match is going to be crazy. Cannon's either going to throw him on his head. Somebody's going to get thrown on their head.
We're here for the chaos.
We're here for the chaos. All right, I'll go Hippolito. I don't know why. I have no rationale for it. Give me Hippolito. I don't like making picks it this way. I hate it. Tyler Kasich, national champ. That's
I agree.
Over who? I don't know. Shapiro, I guess.
Yeah, I think Shapiro.
165, Mezenbrink 1, Peyton Hall the 2, Mikey Caliendo 3. What do you make of that? A lot of people like, oh, how did Caliendo get the 3? I'll co-sign on that as well. Why is Mikey the 3 behind Peyton Hall?
Well, I'll say, listen, again, Peyton Hall, number 1 conference champion. They weighted that very heavily. It's why it's the 2 and Kirk's the 3. It's no different. And I promise
you, though, if it came down to not the 2-3, and if it was the 3-4, they would have intervened and made Caliendo the 3. You can't have Mezenbrink and Caliendo on the same side.
I agree.
I think it spit it out and it said Peyton Hall 2, Caliendo 3, and they were like, whatever, it's 2-3. Same as whatever. So it's academic. But it's interesting for Caliendo, who has former teammate Aiden Riggins first round and possibly former teammate Drake Rhodes in round 2. That's pretty funny.
One more thing about the Peyton Hall being the 2. I'm okay with the guy wrestling 31 matches getting it. He wrestled his ass off all year long.
Yeah, only loss was to Barraclaw, who is the 4 seed. Okay. So in Mezenbrink's quad is Cam Amin the 8.
Yep, another Penn State-Oklahoma State match potential.
Cam Steed got the 9. Steed is the one who beat Amin at conferences, right?
Yeah.
Steed beat Amin. That's funny. Steed beat Amin, but is seated one spot behind him.
No.
Who beat Amin?
Bearclaw.
Did he? I don't think so.
Let me see. Cameron Amin lost to Bearclaw 2-1 and Ruiz 6-4.
Okay.
They did not. Amin beat Steed 2-1 at the duel.
8-9. They're the 8-9. Julian the 5. And you go through these, and I'm not knocking Cornell, but like Cornell's schedule this year, they're really hard to understand. Like they're really hard to get a grip on because they didn't face anybody this year, right?
Yep.
I mean, Shapiro, who'd you wrestle? Ramirez, who'd you wrestle? Foca, who'd you wrestle? I don't know. It's tough to gauge where they're at. But Ramirez is your 5 in a quad with Barraclaw the 4. Ramirez will get Mac Church and then Bianchi or Minto. Will Miller against Filipowicz. Fields, Barraclaw. I think everybody would go Ramirez, Barraclaw. Quarterfinal, who you got?
Sorry for what?
Ramirez, Barraclaw, quarterfinal.
Bearclaw. I got Messenbrink beating Bearclaw in the semis up top.
Did Barraclaw beat Julian last year?
I do not think they hit last year.
Barraclaw beat somebody. Julian lost to somebody at the Bearcat Open. Who did Julian lose to at the Bearcat Open last year?
Let me look.
Asking the tough questions.
We're asking the tough questions.
Would have been early.
Well, Julian did not wrestle in that last year. It would have been 2023 was the last time he wrestled that. He lost to Peyton Hall 2 years ago at the Bearcat Open.
I don't know. I don't know what I'm thinking of. But I'm going Julian. I'm going Julian. I know you hate it.
I don't hate it, but I also don't think that, Ramirez does not have a top 20 win all year. So I don't hate it, but I also think Julian Ramirez does not have a great win this year. He does not historically do good at NCAAs. He's been round of 12 3 years in a row. So if you're telling me, can he beat Bearclaw? Sure. Would I pick it? No.
I know what I was thinking of. Why I thought of this is no idea. I guess I was making a connection between Julian and the Bearcat Open and a Penn State backup. December of 2021, Matt Lee beat Julian Ramirez.
Close.
Okay. That is way off topic. Yeah, I'm taking Julian. Listen, at some point, Julian got to get over the hump at NCAAs. Greatest resume of all time. That is not AA'd. This man has wins over Quincy Monday and David Carr and all kinds of people. And that's not AA'd. Give me Julian Ramirez to make the semi against Mitch Messelbrink, in which case Mitch Messelbrink wins, makes the finals. The other side, Mikey Caliendo. Run it back. I do think, I don't know. I have a thing for Hunter Garvin. I think Hunter Garvin.
Does Felters. So does Felters. He's got Garvin over Hall in the quarters.
I don't hate it. I'll take Peyton Hall to beat Garvin in the quarters. However, I am fully on the Hunter Garvin to do well train.
Yeah, I'm lazy. I got the whole top 8 going chalk through the finals here.
Do you?
Yeah, I've got Hall over Garvin in the quarters. I've got Montanona or Caliendo over Bo in the quarters. I got Bearclaw over Ramirez and Mitch over Amin. And then Mitch over Bearclaw, Caliendo over Hall, Messenbrink over Caliendo.
Yeah. I don't want to. This is the anti. It's the anti 57. 57 is crazy. 174. Keegan O'Toole's the 1. Haynes and Hamidi, the 2-3. Garrett Thompson, the 4, at 29-5. You have this group of Garrett Thompson, the 4, Simon Ruiz, the 5, Bremen Casella, the 6, Danny Wask, the 7. 4 through 7. Um, I just don't understand it. I understand it, but I don't. You have a 6-loss Danny Wask seated higher than a 5-loss Lenny Pinto and a 3-loss Carson Karchla. And they have losses to Lorenzo Norman and Nico Incontrera. Nico Incontrera, who's the 22nd seed. These guys all lost to him.
It's wild.
Don't get it. Lorenzo Norman, who has 4 losses. I mean, Lorenzo Norman was a case at the end of the year. Two, like 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, Lorenzo Norman would have been the 4. Like next topic. 4 or 5. But his conference placing, I still think he's completely hosed as the 16. That's ludicrous. That is terrible. It's actually terrible.
Terrible. Terrible. Play the video.
Terrible. He's going to get Keegan in the second round. Terrible. Karchla Pinto,
Oof.
that will be a second round match as well. Just insane. I don't know. I feel like Lenny could beat anybody or lose to anybody. That the 4-5 quad.
I thought for sure, by the way, we saw that match and we didn't. I don't know why I was thinking we just saw Pinto Karchla.
Karchla lost to who? Carson lost to Bronigal. Pinto beat Bronigal.
Yeah, Carson lost to Bronigal twice.
Mm-hmm. Where is Bronigal? Oh, he's down in... Man. Dude, Bronigal... I mean, it's a tough first-round match with Devos, who's an AA, but... You telling me Danny Bronigal can't make the semi? Tell me why Danny Bronigal cannot make the semi as a 20 seed with a 20-9 record, a 12-9 record. He can make this semi.
If we see the Danny Bronigal we saw at Big Tens, he will make the semis. But that opening round matchup with K Devos is going to be a good one.
Great. Is that the best? That got to be the best first-round matchup. That is a fire first-round matchup.
Yeah, I think it's one of the best for sure.
Either one. I mean, you talk about first-round matchup where either one could win that quad. There's not too many of them. That's one. I love Simon Ruiz, Del Barton kid. Hope he does well. I just think, and that's what when I'm talking about these seeds, I'm not poo-pooing the kids. I'm just talking about
poo-poo alert.
Seeding process. I just don't understand it sometimes. There's one former AA in that quad. In the whole quad, there's one former AA, and it's K. Devos, and he's seeded 13.
It's crazy.
But, so who the hell is going to come out of that? I'm taking Bronny. I'm taking Danny Bronny. That might be stupid.
I got Ruiz into the quarter there.
You do?
Yeah. But not a lot of confidence in that pick.
I have zero confidence in that quad.
Yeah, same.
But that being said, I would only consider. Well, there's only 8 guys. I would consider Ruiz. I would consider Thompson, and I would consider Bronigal. I don't think Devo's coming out of it.
I think Devos wins. I think Danny Bronigal. You see it a lot more in football, where you have a huge win, a huge weekend, and then the hangover the next weekend. I think that is a situation that could happen here. I got Devos winning, and then I got Devos losing to Garrett Thompson, and then I got Ruiz beating Garrett. It's a classic letdown spot. Again, Bronigal has not had the best year. He's 12-9. He had a great Big Tens. If he can carry that momentum, he can absolutely beat K Devos. But it's also a classic letdown spot.
I'm sort of rooting for Garrett Thompson. I love the kid. I love the story. Has there ever been a kid that never made the state tournament be the 4 seed? Never made the state tournament.
That's crazy.
He's a 4 seed. Now, I was pumping him up going into NCAAs last year, and he went 0-2. So let's hope he has a good bounce back. But the real story is Levi Haynes, Dean Hamidi semi.
Incredible. David's initial protege versus current best shot to legitimately, I think the odds, he would be the best odds guy for Oklahoma State if you made odds for all 9 of their guys going to be a national champ. Hamidi would be at the top of the list.
I keep picking against Penn State guys, don't I? I picked against Bo. Who else did I pick against? I don't know. I picked against Van Ness in the semi. I picked against Bo in the semi. I will not pick against Penn State in this semi. Give me Haynes over Hamidi. However, I'll take Keegan. Picking Penn State over Penn State in the finals is so stupid.
I got Levi beating Keegan here in the finals.
It's probably the smart pick. But I'm taking Keegan. I don't know.
I don't know that there's this was an overtime match that we saw in December, and I remember watching that match and saying this does not change my pick for March whatsoever. I think it's going to be a very close matchup. I think Penn State turns it on more than anybody else in the middle of March, so I'm going Levi. But Keegan O'Toole beat him once.
I'm taking Levi over Keegan.
I'm taking Levi over Keegan.
I'm taking Levi over Keegan. Got it. Book it.
Book it.
Send it in. 184, Carter Starachi. The 1 seed. Parker
they got
Kekausen.
It right. They got
2,
this one
Max
right.
McAnally. Here's one. I thought they should intervene on 2 different situations, and they did. So I was hoping that they would put Max McAnally, the 3, over Dustin Plott, the 4, to give us different matchups. I think it's a better bracket that way. If you're Plott, you probably don't want to be on the same side as Carter Starachi, but you're 0 for life against Parker Kekausen, so why not? I don't think you can be that disappointed in it anyway. And the other situation was at heavyweight, where please do what's right and put Kirkfleet on the opposite side of Gable, and they did both. So I'm happy with that. McAnally the 3, Plott the 4, Bennett Berge the 5, the 6 is Chris Foca at 19-1. 7 seed Isaac Dean of Ryder with 7 losses is the 7 seed. Pretty interesting year. Pretty interesting cat. 7 losses, including a couple weird ones, but conference champ, I guess. Jackson Smith, the 8. Reese Heller, the 9. That's kind of crazy. I don't know. I'd have to dig into that a little bit. Like Reese Heller, ACC champ, 3 losses on the year. Isaac Dean, MAC champ, 7 losses on the year. One's a 7, one's a 9. I don't know about that. Was there a head-to-head?
Is Chris Foca the lowest seed with only 1 loss?
Yes.
Right?
Yep. Yes, sir.
These Cornell guys, man, they're so hard to gauge where they are. He had 1 top 15 matchup, Foca. It was a 14-7 loss to Jackson Smith December 8th at the A Better Way Athletics Patriot Open. So, we don't know where some of these Cornell guys are.
That's what I said. The whole entire team is hard to handicap.
His best win is December 22nd. He beat Dylan Fishback in the duel 6-2.
There's so many reasons why. Julian Ramirez, his whole entire career, he can beat David Carr and he can lose to Matt Lee. Mm-hmm. Okay? Same with Foca. I mean, I watched Foca damn near beat Carter Starachi, but he could lose. Like he didn't AA last year, right? So you taking their sort of inconsistencies and their boom or bust kind of nature, and then you add it to their schedule this season, in which they didn't see a lot of top. You didn't see them against a lot of top competition, and there is no way to gauge. There's no way to understand where they're at, and to complicate matters all the more, they're old. They're one of the they came back for one last ride type thing,
Yep.
and so you never know if there's a fire lit under their butt or if they're like running on fumes. Tough to pick. Tough to pick.
Oh, 2 years ago, Chris Foca looked so good. Took third in NCAA's. Only had 2 losses on the year, but he pinned Plot at NCAA's. He beat Cade Devos. He beat Cal Valencia. He beat Nelson Brands. He beat Makai Lewis in overtime. And then his only loss was Carter. But And then in the second round, we could have Gabe Arnold, Chris Foca.
Yeah.
We very likely will have that. Gabe's got Donnell Washington first round.
That's a winnable match. I mean, Iowa fans complaining about seeds or like pessimistic about it. Why can't Gabe Arnold be in the quarters against a guy that he lost in overtime to? I mean, he lost to Mickinelli in overtime, correct?
Say that again?
Arnold Mickinelli was an OT match?
Let me look it up. I'm drawing a blank.
Would it break your brain if Gabe Arnold made the semis?
It was an overtime loss. Gabe Arnold has 4 overtime losses this year.
Would it break your brain if Gabe Arnold made the semis?
No.
No.
But I also think, would it break your brain if Max beat Parker in the semis?
In the semis. No, it wouldn't break my brain, but I wouldn't pick it.
If you tell me Max beats Gable and then beats Parker, that would not break my brain. You got to pick Parker. But man, Mickinelli has not lost this year other than an overtime win or an overtime loss to Carter Starachi, one of the greatest of all time, going for number 5. I mean, Max has 33 matches in college. He's lost 1, and it's to Carter freaking Starachi.
That's a great semi. That's like Levi Hamidi light is Kekais and Mickinelli. But the real, let's get down to brass tacks.
By the way, up top, Carter Plot, potential Penn State, Oklahoma State matchup, likely number 3.
Carter over Kekheisen is my pick. And I'm sure it's yours.
It is mine, and I think that the NCAA needs to do what's right and make this the final match of the night. If this is the final, Carter Keck, honestly, if Carter's in the finals, that's the match of the night. He's going for number 5.
I agree. I love Max Mickinelli. I think could be sort of the future of this weight. But I'm rooting for a Carter Kekheisen final.
Yep. And Carter.
I shouldn't say I'm rooting. I'm not rooting against Max Mickinelli. I'm not rooting against him. If he makes the finals, I'll love it. But it just seems like the story has to complete itself, right?
Yeah.
197, your top seed is Jacob Cardenas. I wrote an article a couple days ago on what this seeding committee should do, and I said something about give Buchanan I wanted to say keep Ferrari on the other side, and I think give Buchanan the 1. That was stupid. Cardenas deserves a 1, and they did the right thing. A 1-loss Cardenas gets the 1 seed. Buchanan the 2, Ferrari the 3. I'm glad that got worked out the way it did. Josh Barr, 16-3 on the year. One of those losses in injury default to Salazar. He gets the 4. Beard, who he beat in the duel pretty rather handily. Beard is the 5. The 6 is Max Stout, ACC champ.
Stout
7,
for stout, brother. Second round potential.
I hate it. They could have done something, right? The Max Stout is the 6, and the ACC champ. Luke Stout is the 11. They would meet round 2, and he's the Ivy League champ. They could have made him the 12. Why not make him the 12? Instead, they made Stephen Little the 12. How the hell is Stephen Little the 12? How is he the 12? I don't get it. I don't get how that spit that out. How is Stephen Little seated behind? How is Stephen
I
Little
don't know.
even seated
Kind of
behind
makes
Max
sense.
Stout? How is he seated? He's seated behind Maxed Out. He's seated behind. I don't even know how he's seated behind like Michael Beard or Zach Bronigal. I don't know. That just seems odd to me. It seems like one of the worst.
Conference championship weight. I mean, Max Stout won conference championships. They gave a lot of weight, it seems, to conference winners.
Zach Bronigal's the 9 with 6 losses. How is Stephen Little seated 3 spots behind Zach Bronigal?
It's a fair point. Fair point.
All right, Jacob Cardenas up top in a quad with Luke Serber. So Serber, Bronigal, potential second round matchup. Winner would get Jacob Cardenas, who looks like a clear path. He would have Stemmet or Bates round 2, but looks like Cardenas versus Bronigal or Serber in that quarter. In the 2-7 quad, Buchanan has Remy Cotton, then either Novak or Bechtold. Wyatt Volker versus Brock Zerwowski. Shoemate versus Salazar. Who do you have in a 7-10 matchup, Volker or Salazar?
Volker.
So you have Volker, Buchanan.
Yep.
And you got Buchanan?
And Buchanan, yeah. I got Ferrari beating Buchanan.
Ferrari over Buchanan in that semi. So you got AJ Ferrari in the finals. In the other half, Michael Beard, Stephen Little, second round match. Who you have in that?
Beard.
Okay, I think I would probably agree. Although I wouldn't be surprised if it went the other way. Barr, Munoz.
Barr.
You got Barr. Barr, Beard.
I will say this, too, because you're asking me these questions, right? Barr beat Little. Barr beat Beard. Barr has wins over these guys that it's not a stretch. Barr.
What do you mean I'm asking you these questions?
I know where you're going. I know where you're going with this.
We're making picks, and I'm asking for your picks.
I got Barr.
Okay, you got Barr in the semis against Cardenas. And who do you have?
Well, they've split matches this year.
Yep.
But I like Penn State in March. So give me Barr to win the rubber match and head to the finals. Again, Barr over Cardenas is not a stretch given Penn State's success in the semis, and he's already beaten him once this year. I like Barr to be in the finals.
So, you think Barr's healthy?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so you got Barr against Ferrari in the finals.
Man, that's going to be a good match. I have to go Barr because I already declared it last week. Barr, 197-pound champ. I actually filled my bracket out. Wrote Josh Barr's name as champion. I literally.
Here's the thing, though. Barr, he tweaked his knee a little bit Do you think how much can he even deadlift right now?
Is Ferrari 100%? I don't think either of these guys are going to be 100%.
Ferrari just deadlifted 675, baby. It's on video. I've seen it.
I don't disagree, but I will say this.
You can't disagree because it's on video.
It's on video. When was the video taken?
Good point.
It was just posted. We do not know when that video was
Fair
taken. But yeah, I like AJ to beat Buchanan. I really do. I think it's Bar over Ferrari in the finals. I think that we're going to see it. I'm a lot of comments. Bar's not there yet. Bar's not there yet. You look at this weight. Bar's already beaten Cardenas. He's already beaten Beard. Like, I like it, Willie. I like it. I like his seat. I like him up top.
I'm going AJ over Bar.
Okay, but you are taking Bar to make the finals.
I feel pretty strongly that he makes the semi, and I think it's a toss-up match with Cardenas. We've seen that before, and I think Penn State on the last weekend of the year is pretty tough, and they're pretty tough in semis. I'll take Bar, and but I'll take Ferrari. I'll take Ferrari over Bar.
The stage is being set for Ferrari to repeat as national champion after having 3 years off in every Big Ten school. Not every, obviously, but a lot of Big Ten schools, Big 12 schools are going to be calling him and saying, AJ, they're gonna say it looks like you've got everything going together. You did this probation year, great. In reality, what they mean is. Well, in reality, what they mean is you just made the NCAA finals after having that time off. We'd like to make you an offer, sir.
Does he have problems with Andy Smith or Glazier? I mean, he wrestled.
By the way,
Zach overtime match with Glazier last year.
I was just gonna say Zach Glazier, AJ Ferrari, the double splits, the origination of the double splits. We're going to get a Soldier Salute rematch in the second round, most likely. I definitely think that AJ will face a Stout, because I think a Stout's coming out of match 240 there.
It's Mac Stout. It'll be.
I hope they both make it and see each other. Sorry, O'Malley and Delegada. But I want to see brother versus brother in the NCAAs. That's a cool story they're going to have for the rest of their lives.
That is cool. Their dad's an awesome, awesome dude, and also an All-American and like 3-time EWL champ and a massive, massive human being.
What if they rock, paper, scissors for it?
Don't do that. What a bracket. That's fun. That's really fun. I can't believe I was, crystal ball. I had AJ, I think, 4th or 5th to start the year. I had to see him. I just don't assume that you are the version or are as good as you were a couple years ago when you had such a long layoff. But the way the season has gone, and we still haven't seen him against elite guys, right? I mean, he beat Stephen Little with no takedowns. He beat a concussed Stephen Little with 0 takedowns.
I know. It might be crazy in hindsight to pick AJ over Buchanan, but
it might be. It might be.
By the way, if Stephen Buchanan doesn't lose to Cardenas, I'm not picking Ferrari over Buchanan.
Me neither. Maybe we're making too much of that match.
Correct. Literally the only match all year. Here you got Buchanan's 72% bonus on the year, 21-1.
Like
it might be an overreaction.
We're making our championship finals pick based on one takedown. Based on Jacob Cardenas taking down Stephen Buchanan. If that doesn't happen,
But look at how
No problem.
close all these are. You had Ferrari beat Little without a takedown. You had Cardenas and Barr, both of their matches were one takedown matches. Buchanan and Barr was a one takedown match. Cardenas and Buchanan was a one takedown match. All these matches are one takedown matches.
Barr beat Cardenas because Cardenas gave up 2 and not 1.
Mm-hmm.
It was a brain fart.
Yeah, their matches were 3-2 and 4-1. Both overtime matches. So they're all right there. I think any way you want to, if you have Buchanan, Cardenas, Barr, Ferrari in any order in the top 4, I think it's hard to argue. There's a case to be made for putting those 4 in any order based on what's happened this year so far.
Could anybody disrupt those 4? And I don't mean disrupt. I mean, let's say something crazy like Stephen Little beats Michael. Let's say Stephen Little. Can anybody win the title not in those 4?
You'd have to take out at least 2 of those 4, and I don't see that happening.
Yeah.
I don't know how you could sneak past. You could sneak past one of them. I don't think 2 out of the 4 of them.
All right. Heavyweight. Gable's the 1, Hendrickson the 2. They gave Kirkfleet the 3, which is good. Owen Treppen undefeated. 21-0 is the 4. Ben Keeter, who everybody ragged on all year, is the 5 behind Stevenson, Kirkfleet, Hendrickson, and Treffen, all seniors. So shut up. 6 is Heinzelman, who has had a great senior season. The 7 is Isaac Trumbull, who needed a wild card. He took 6 to ACCs and is your 7 seed. 8 is Luke Luffman. Colton Schultz is the 9. Nice 8-9 matchup. I don't know how Schultz is so low, I guess. I don't know. Maybe Trumbull falling to the 7 hurt him. Okay, let's do it. Gable Stevenson up top. He'll have Schultz or Luffman in that quarter. Although Slavakuski second round. Now, if Slavakuski is a horrible, horrible matchup for any number 1 seed, except it's Gable Stevenson. That would be a big deal.
And Slavakuski
that would be a big deal in any other situation.
I don't know what the status of Slavakuski is.
I know, man.
He was injured and had the medical forfeit out. I didn't see it, so I don't know what the injury was, and I didn't hear about what it was. So I don't know where Slavakuski is, even health-wise. But
I saw it. I don't know what the injury is, but I saw it when it happened, and he was like on both knees, and he went like this, and he looked at Goodale. I don't know if it's a shoulder or a pec or what, but.
And you never know if it's like more. Let's not risk this because NCAA's is in 2 weeks. You know, I think these guys, whether it's Barr's injury, Big Ten, Slavakuski, I don't know what the differences of some of these happening at Big Tens versus NCAA's. You know, you're obviously a lot more cautious at Big Tens or conference weekend, where NCAA's, you're going to go out of that thing in a wheelchair before you say, I can't go.
Yeah. So Stevenson should get through. You're probably taking him over Schultz or Luffman. I would take Schultz to get to the semis. The 2 quad. Hendrickson will have Tinker or Runyon. Trumbull, if he's healthy. Trumbull's also banged up bad, man. Big brace on his knee. So you'd think Trumbull should get through Peter Ming, and then ACC finals rematch. No, an ACC rematch. Trumbull and Pitzer. Pitzer wrestling pretty good right now. Trumbull really banged up. That's a tough one to call. So regardless, you probably take Hendrickson over Pitzer or Trumbull. In the 3-6 quad, Kirkfleet will have Corey Day or player coach Gavin Hoffman in round 2. Jimmy Mullen got the 11 seed. I thought that was kind of low. 20-5 on the year. Probably looking at Mullen Heinzelman. That'll be a fun one. Round 2. 5-4 quad. Owen Treffin against Nevels or Greer in round 2. Keeter has a Cyhawk matchup versus Herrera in round 1. And then probably Nick Feldman, who he's beaten a couple times. So I like Keeter to the quarters. I think Treffin does get him in the quarters, but Ben sets himself up pretty nice to get on the podium. So I have a chalk. 1, 2, 3, 4. Gable versus Treffin, Kirkfleet versus Hendrickson, and chalk again. Stevenson, Kirkfleet, and Stevenson.
Yeah, I got the whole top 8 going chalk. I do, too. This is the 4th and final most likely Penn State versus Oklahoma State matchup in the semi with Kirk and Wyatt. I think this is pretty black and white. I think the most intriguing matchup here is Kirk and Wyatt to me. I think we just saw Gable Kirk at Big Tens. It kind of went how most anticipated. I think this is going to go very similar. Gable is Gable. He's a once-in-a-generation talent. I think he picks up another title here. But Kirk and Wyatt, I think, is going to be an awesome, awesome match in the bottom side semis.
Yeah, a lot of intrigue there. I'll
tell you what, too. I think the Hodge will most likely come down to Carter and Gable. Gable, though he does not have the strongest season this year, meaning he only has 14 matches, his only non-bonus win was Kirkfleet. Messenbrink has a non-bonus win over Caliendo, and Carter has a couple of non-bonus wins. But Gable's NCAAs is interesting because I think he can really impress. You got Slavakuski, returning All-American. Then you got Schultz, who's a 4-time All-American. You got undefeated Owen Treppen, most likely. And then you're either going to take out a returning national champ, Kirk, or Wyatt Hendrickson, who's been one of the most dominant heavyweights over the last 5 years. So Gable is setting himself up, depending on what he does at NCAAs, to really put himself out front in the Hodge race, I think.
Yeah, he'll be a contender for sure. It'll be a debate, and you got to see what Carter does. You got to see what Messenbrink does.
Yeah.
I don't knock Messenbrink a whole lot for one, a non-bonus win in a Big Ten final over a guy that you bonused several times before, or two, a perceived lack of depth at the weight. Part of the lack of depth is because you're so dominant, and there's nobody else has a chance, right? Yeah.
And you do have 9 guys going into NCAAs undefeated. 3 of them are at heavyweight. 2 of them are at 84. So obviously 3 of those 5 are not going to finish the year undefeated. But Caleb Henson could finish. He could win this thing, and he's in contention. You've got an undefeated returning national champ. Undefeated returning national champ has to be in contention. You got Messenbrink who could go undefeated. If O'Toole does it, if O'Toole wins this thing over Levi Haynes, I mean, there's a strong case for Levi or for O'Toole. If O'Toole were to get it done beating a returning national champ. So, I lean Carter or Gable, but really, I think those honestly, not for nothing, his season was not the best because of his competition. But you telling me AJ Ferrari's not in contention if he goes out and wins that 97-pound bracket?
I don't think he is.
You don't think so?
Not even close. No.
Okay.
No. I mean, he'll be on the list because he'd be an undefeated national champ. He'll be a nominee, but I don't see any way
you could give it over Gable or Carter.
Vote for him over Gable or something, right? Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
Let's talk a little bit about team scores. It's probably way too early to digest everything. Although people have ran team scores based on seeds, but seeds are one thing and paths are another. And have you looked at brackets and said, "All right, I think this team can do better than I thought, or this team can do worse
No,
than I thought," based
that
on
that analysis, I think I still need to work through. That's one of the things I wanted to look at today was take a couple of teams, for example, like Oklahoma State or like Iowa, and see, because I saw some things that I was going through it that caught my eye. Like even if you're looking at Oklahoma State, for example, Teague Travis is in there, but he's got Caleb Henson right out of the gate. He's got a pigtail, wins
yeah.
that, which I think he will, and then he'll have Henson right out of the gate. So you have some of these matchups. I haven't gone through and looked at it to the degree that I'd like to. So that's probably something I'm going to try to get to today.
Yeah, that's something I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do as well, and that's I think where, um, well, I do have one thing. I think Nebraska. I think Nebraska was probably hurt. Um,
By the way, let me throw this up. I'm going to throw these up. I'll link up the article. Kozak did it on Flow. Projected team standings based on seeds. So this is just based on if seeds held,
yeah,
this is how many points they would get.
yeah. So I think that's reflected in there. Nebraska, who they have top four-ish potential, but Lenny getting an 8 and Caleb Smith getting a 9 really hurts. There were two guys that they were the worst seeded Big Ten finalists, and perhaps that's accurate, but all the way down to 8-9, I think that makes a really tough road. It certainly puts a dent in projected points. Okay, um, so I think that's the first team nugget based on seeds and based on paths. I think I have to dig more to look and see, like, was Iowa hurt? Was Oklahoma State hurt or helped? Or Illinois just turned in a really good performance at Big Tens. Let's look at their draws and see um, if they have a path to a better finish than anticipated. Minnesota, let's look at their paths. But I just thought maybe you noticed something off the top of your head. But that's something, again, when you print out brackets and you fill out the backside, right? You fill out like, oh well, this kid's gonna lose early, man. He has a bad second round matchup. So that really hurts Nebraska. But then he comes down and he falls into a really nice place. He could go on a little run here. Okay, not so bad. Um, that's the fun of filling out the backside of brackets.
Yeah, I agree.
So, all right, brother. That was a long one, but best time of year.
Best time of year. And if we do think that there's enough substance around the team score or something like that, maybe we'll do a follow-up show. Like
We got to do follow-up shows. We got a whole week before it starts.
I know it's the one time where it's like yesterday. I think you coined it as the most exciting day of the year without any actual wrestling for wrestling fans. Now it's the longest week of the year because we are a week plus 2 hours away from action actually starting, and not a heck of a lot is going to happen over the next week.
Well, why don't we do this? I got to do crystal ball, and that'll be reflective of how I think the paths of the backside will go.
Yeah,
and we'll do a crystal ball show and team scores.
All right, and we might have a couple of guests that want to come on to add some color to some situations. So keep an eye on for that. Yep. All right, that's our preview and pick show. Comment where you think, of course, we got it wrong. Surely there's no shortage when you have 330 guys competing for 10 titles.
Yeah.
And a lot of buys and a lot of fans.
Giddy up.
All right. Go Bills.